The worst decision you'll make is to show up to a negotiation ill-prepared. The most important work happens before you arrive at the table. One of the things I think that people believe is that negotiation is a skill that really happens at the table, right? You're supposed to say this when that person says that. You're supposed to hold back. This is what you offer. And one of the things I tell people is, quite frankly, in all negotiation, whether it's salary negotiation, whether it's a contract negotiation, it's really the preparation that happens before the negotiation. And some of that is, quite frankly, in your head. It's like you've got to really come from a place where you're not emotionally reactive, that you go in there knowing what you're going to say, knowing how you're going to respond to what somebody says to you. That's all in advance of sitting down at the table and coming up with a negotiation. So one of the things I really train my clients to do, and I'm going to tell you here how we do it today, is really to come up with a very strong communication plan. I do this in bulleted points. It's not like you have to write out paragraphs. I make sure that they have questions that they're going to ask, and I make sure that they do a couple of things in the process as well, like breathe, know what their expectations are, know what their minimum requirement is to walk away or say this isn't going to work for me, know how to ask for permission to follow up, know when they're going to have that next meeting or next dialogue to determine the terms of a negotiation. And I can tell you this, that most negotiation goes sideways because people didn't do the preparation in advance. They fly by the seat of their pants. They think, I'm going to go in there like a cowboy. I'm not going to give in. They do all this kind of sort of bullshit that doesn't really work, frankly. You really need to come in prepared and thoughtful and know where you want this to go. So it's not an emotionally charged dialogue, but really a thoughtful kind of plan and strategy. So in advance of any negotiation, whether it's with a vendor or a potential client or it's for a salary, go in with a really strong plan. Don't be afraid to bring in that communication plan, by the way. I tell people to bring in notes all the time. It grounds you and it makes sure that you haven't forgotten anything significant. How often have you had a critical conversation and thought, damn it, I forgot to say this or make this point? It's far worse not to have made those points than to come in with a piece of paper. It's perfectly acceptable. So make sure you do that preparation in advance of any negotiations you have in the coming weeks. And from here on forward, always go to a negotiation prepared. Buy yourself a little bit of time if you have to, but don't go by the seat of your pants. And here's one last tip I just want to make. Even if you really trust the other person, it's really important to go in prepared and understand what it is you want and make sure that you're able to articulate your terms and that you're also able to hear that other person so that everybody walks out the door feeling like it was a win.